Hello everyone. So today we will show how to procure to pay or P2P cycle work and the setup. In the last session we are seeing the account payable. So in that account payable the most important thing is a P2P cycle. In that we will see the inventory and the purchasing configuration. So first of all we have to assign the offerings to the project. So which offering we need to assign the project, select the activate functional offering in the Oracle. In the security console, we have to assign procurement, account payable, and inventory via setup and maintenance. Then define facility workday calendar for the procurement. Calendar like Monday to Saturday or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is the invoicing and the procurement calendar facility, which is involved in the procurement. Then facility shift. Define the multiple shift if goods are received or work is done in different timing. Then facility shift we have to configure. Then facility workday pattern. Assign a pattern for working days like a Monday to Saturday and the holidays. Then facility schedule as per our requirement. Integrate the shifts and workday pattern into the schedule for supply chain operation. Then create item master inventory organization. The master organization holds the common item definition it used across all other inventory organization. Then create child inventory organization. How to create? In the master data we will take the item India master. After that we will create the item master organization. After that, on that basis, in that India Chennai warehouse or Delhi warehouse, that is a child organization or sub inventory we can say. Then configure procurement business function. Enable the business unit for the functional procurement operation, that is a purchase creation, supplier negotiation for that purpose. Next is a configure requisitioning business function. Enable the business unit for raising the purchase requisition. Next is a manage common option for payable and the procurement. In that include the link how to link ledger, legal entities and the business unit for the financial and procurement transaction. In that we can manage common options. Then the receiving parameters. In that receiving parameter, we can configure receiving control like a routing, tolerance, infection, requirement. Next is a procurement agent, which is nothing but a buyer, which assign a user as a buyer for the pure responsibility in the procurement. Next is a supplier set default buyer. Default buyer, which is nothing but auto-populate during the requisition creation. None is chosen. Then manage transaction account definition. It define accounting for the transactions like accrual, expense charge. Example, debit raw material inventory debited and accrual is credited. So manage account rule. With account rule, which is a cost center or department, which is derived that kind of accounting rule by setting up the segment on that basic accounting segment we will manage the accounting rule. Next is a transaction account definition. Create the purchase order and specific account derivation rules. Assign a tab to the ledger. Then link in that include link transaction account definition to a ledger. Example is a INR ledger. Next is a manage purchase or purchase order approval, purchase received and purchase order approval rule, which is nothing but to define the BPM based rule. This is for approval, for purchase requisition and purchase order approval. If we have the set the limit like a purchase order should be greater than 5 lakh, then need the BP approval, higher level approval. In that approval level, BPM based activities will be approval level activities done in the BPM. Then sub inventory. Create the logical intersection under the inventory organization. Example, the finishes good on the and the raw material. Then we can see next is a item class. Item class, which is nothing but the group similar item with shared behavior for the easier management. In the electronics, we can see the mobile, board, desktop. In the electronics, we can in cloth is a different, food and beverages is a different, like that. Next is a create item and assign to inventory organization. It define the item and assign it to the child organization for stocking. Assign role to user, which means rule like a buyer, inventory manager, and assign to the user to provide the data access for user, allow access to specific business unit or the inventory organization. Next and last is a synchronize. Synchronize the run a LDAP job means synchronize the role and access for the user for goal activity. All the AP or AI, whichever you role created and which have to access, for that we have to job LDAP the job. Then P2P flow. In that P2P flow, we have to set the requisition first. This is most important and most asked commonly questions in the interview as well. So first of all, set the requisition preference to default the values like a deliver to location, charge to account, and next create the purchase requisition, then create the purchase order, and then the invoice. For that, the standard process flow is just raise PR, मतलब purchase requisition, convert it into purchase order, then receive the good and create the invoice. Let's say an example, office supplier purchase requisition raised by HR, and then purchase order auto generated by the buyer. Purchase requisition is raised by HR, and purchase order it auto generate by buyer, invoice created after the receipt. Then manual purchase order receipt, after that invoice. When the directly purchase order create without the requisition, then receive and create the invoice. And pay on receipt or ERS self billing. It means system auto create the invoice on receiving good, useful for high trust vendors. Pay on receipt and ERS or self billing if the vendor is trusted. The example, we can say recurring supply from the Maruti Auto Components. Next is a pay on receipt or repeated. Same as AT. It means above. It has the high, useful for the high trust for the vendors. Emphasize auto invoicing upon the receiving. Next is a enable pay on receipt at supplier side. It has flag must be enabled in the supplier profile to allow the ERS. Then create the purchase order. Enter purchase order manually from the purchase requisition using buyer work center. Then create the receipt. Record receipt of the good against the purchase order, and inventory will be inventory or receiving the module. After that, run the ESS job. Jobs like a create payable invoice or transport receipt to the account payable process, that is the auto invoicing. Then review the invoice in a AP, the validate system generated invoice, and proceed to the payment. So this about the all AP steps that I have explained so far. If you have any query, then you can drop an